In 1991, Albert Brooks wrote, directed, starred in a movie that was quietly one of the best movies I've ever seen. Now, I embraced the message of this movie because it delivered a simple and easy message about how we can look at our time on this earth. Let's have a short, pocket sized pep talk, and I'll tell you about it.
A pocket-sized pep talk, the podcast that can help energize your business and your life with a quick, inspiring message. Now, here's your host, Rob Jollis.
If you haven't figured out by now, I'm a movie buff. At 6 years old, I would walk with my brother Richard to the Silver Movie Theater in Silver Spring, Maryland, and thus began my love for movies. I shared that love with my own kids, and one of my favorite outings was a trip to the movies. I'm pretty open to almost any kind of movie, but it's the movie's message that really makes me a fan of a particular movie. I believe most writers and directors are trying to tell us something, and one of the best examples of a movie with a powerful message is a movie called Defending Your Life. The movie provides a wonderful look at Albert Brooks's vision of death. I know this is a rather morose topic, but Albert Brooks is a comedian, and he takes a kind of gentle look at a topic that most of us would rather not talk about. Brooks' version of death is quite simple. Upon our passing, each of us spends a few days analyzing our lives in a place that he calls Judgment City. In a courtroom with a prosecutor and a defender, a number of scenes from each person's life are looked at and discussed. There are two judges who study those scenes and listen to the defense and prosecution for why the person behaved the way he or she did in those particular scenes. Then those judges come to a verdict, and that verdict determines if the person should move forward through the universe, if you will, or go back to live another life and try and get it right. What I found most fascinating was the ultimate criteria that was used to make this determination. Now think about it. What determination do you think he came up with? Surprisingly, it had little to do with our day-to-day activities and how much money we made or our various accomplishments. The success or failure of our lives came down to one simple question. Did we overcome our fears, or did we let fear hold us back? Take a moment to think about that particular statement. How often in life have you shied away from a particular decision or activity based solely on fear? Perhaps it was an interview, a conversation, a relationship, a new idea, maybe a presentation. Often that fear can mask itself in creative excuses or twisted logic or well-timed procrastination. Now, on the flip side, when we move through our fears and leave our area of comfort to try to something that's daunting, we're immediately rewarded with a sense of deep satisfaction. That's not a coincidence. The funny thing is that this sense of deep satisfaction often has little to do with the results of our endeavors. Our psyche is smarter than that. We carry that sense of pride because, well, by golly, because we tried. The more often we battle through that fear, the quieter that voice of resistance becomes. Unfortunately, the more often we let fear hold us back, the more confident and assertive the voice of resistance becomes. There are so many wonderful moments in that movie, but one line in particular caught my attention. During a conversation with his defender, played by the late Rip Torn, Albert Brooks questions how fear can be such a determining factor in our lives. Rip Torn looks at him and says, fear is like a giant fog. It sits on your brain and it blocks everything. Real feelings, true happiness, real joy. They can't get through that fog, but you lift it. And buddy, you're in for the ride of your life. I'm guessing there's a voice in your head saying, maybe today I push through the fog and finally try to do fill in the blank. Why not remove the word maybe and just push through that fog of fear? Why not take the plunge and go for it?
Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's show, please rate and recommend it on iTunes, Outcast, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also get more information on this show and Rob at jollis.com.